Hi there. It's January 30th and time for Proverbs 30. Now, I've said before, this is my favorite chapter in Proverbs. This is the words of Agar, son of Jacob, the oracle. And some other versions say that he wrote it unto Ithiel and, Ithiel and Ukal. We're not sure who these people are. Agar scholars or friends. Okay. And this wraps up the whole thing. Okay. After studying all of the wisdom, not all, but what's written, wisdom of Solomon, right? And the knowledge of God, we realize that we can't know what God knows. He is, the depth of God is unfathomable. A man's not able to think that deep, okay? So, let's go. The words of Agar, the son of Jacob, the oracle. There's a note over here, too. Man of Massa. The man declares, I am weary, O God. I am weary, O God, and worn out. All right. Okay. Surely I am too stupid to be a man. I have not the understanding of a man. I have not learned wisdom, nor have I knowledge of the Holy One. After all the study, you realize how much you know versus how much you don't know, okay? Knowledge is like the entire ocean, and we've taken one cup of the water out of it, right? And what's the rest in the ocean is what we don't know, okay? The most important part of being wise is realizing how unwise you are. That makes you humble. For who has ascended to heaven and come down? Who has gathered the wind in his fists? Who has wrapped up the waters in a garment? Who has established all the ends of the earth? What is his name, and what is his son's name? Surely you know. Even back then, this is probably written 1,000 years before Christ. And they knew he was there, okay? He has always been there throughout the whole Old Testament. He has always been there. Surely you know. 5, every word of God proves true. He is a shield to those who take refuge in him. Good saying. All these words of God prove true. They've never been disproven. Here's an important one. Do not add to his words, lest he rebuke you and you be found a liar. This happens then, it happens now. People add words all the time. Well, this is what he's really saying. Well, that's not what it's not what's written, okay? A lot of the doctrines today were founded on words added to the Bible, God's word, by man. Okay. This part right here, this is called Agar's prayer. Okay, he's talking to God. And this is one of my favorite prayers in the Bible, right? Everything you need. 2 things I ask of you, deny them not to me before I die. Remove far from me falsehood and lying. Give me neither poverty nor riches. Feed me with the food that is needful for me, lest I be full and deny you and say, who is the Lord? Or lest I be poor and steal and profane the name of my God. Agar's prayer. Okay, it would do us good to take the star and pray this with the Lord's Prayer, right? Which is very similar to the Lord's Prayer. Okay? Give us this day our daily bread. Neither poverty nor riches. Okay, you don't want to be rich, you forget who God is. And you don't want to be poor, you'd be forced to steal just to survive. Good stuff. 10, do not slander a servant to his master, lest he curse you and you be held guilty. Another proverb. 11 through 14 we put together here. There are those who curse their fathers and do not bless their mothers. There are those who are clean in their own eyes, but are not washed from their filth. There are those, how lofty are their eyes, how high their eyelids lift. There are those whose teeth are swords, whose fangs are knives to devour the poor from off the earth, the needy from among mankind. Okay? These people exist today, they existed back then. God hates all these things, okay? Curse their fathers. There's a note here. There is a generation, okay, probably says that over here. There is a generation that cursed their father. Okay, this is a generation, a whole generation. We had these, right? There are those who think they're clean but are not washed of their filth. There is a generation, or those, how lofty are their eyes and how high their eyelids lift. Like this, looking down on people, okay? That's pride, arrogance, conceit. There are those whose teeth are like swords, whose fangs are knives to devour the poor from off the earth and the needy from among mankind. Okay. There's people that talk a lot of crap, okay, just to put other people down. Good stuff. Hey, 15. The leech has two daughters, give and give. Okay? Give and give, they cry. I never knew what this was for a long time, okay? And it might say over here, it says such good footnotes. Okay. The leech hath two forks on her tongue, which here he calleth her two daughters, whereby she sucketh the blood and is never satisfied. Even so are the covetous extortioners insatiable. Right? That's what he meant. A leech has a forked tongue, and each of the forks on that tongue are always looking for blood, and always, always looking. Mm-hmm. And there are people like that, insatiable and never satisfied. Right? Okay, 304. Three things are never satisfied for. Never say enough. Sheol, hell is never full, right? The barren womb, right? A woman who never has a child. The land never satisfied with water, right? The land, plants can't grow without water. It's never satisfied. If it doesn't get enough water, it turns into a desert. Right? And the fire that never says enough. If you stop feeding a fire, it goes out. Okay? You always have to feed it, or there will be no fire. Four things that are never satisfied. Okay, 17. The eye that mocks a father and scorns to obey a mother will be picked up by the ravens of the valley and eaten by the vultures. You need to honor your parents, okay? That's one of the big 10. Honor your father and mother. And one of the only commandments with a caveat, okay? That your life may be long. Here's another 3, no 4, okay? 3 things are too wonderful for me, 4 I do not understand. The way of an eagle in the sky. Unless you're a real, trained in aeronautics, it's just a wonder how they just sit up there and float, okay? The way of a serpent on a rock. How do they walk without legs? The way of a ship on the high seas. I don't know how that works. I mean, a lot of people do. If you're a sailor, you know how it works. He didn't. I don't. Okay? And this one's funny. And the way of a man with a virgin. With a maid. I had that one highlighted because to me, it's just funny, okay? Have you ever seen a group of guys out partying? They're all, punching each other, and they're all being all he-man and masculine, and then a pretty girl walks in, right? And every one of them turn into bumbling fools, okay? Pretty girl walks in, and they turn into bumbling fools, and it's funny to watch, okay? Too wonderful for me. Okay, 20, this is the way of an adulteress. She eats and wipes her mouth and says, I have done nothing wrong. Right. There's a note over here. She hath her desires, and after counterfeiteth as though she were an honest woman. Right? They think they have done nothing wrong. Here's another 3, no 4. Right? Under 3 things the earth trembles. Under 4 it cannot bear up. Right? A slave when he becomes king. A fool when he is filled with food. Right? An unloved woman when she gets a husband. The world can't bear up under that. And a maidservant when she displaces her mistress. Now that happens. Okay? We're not going to name any names, but this happened back then, and it's happened now. So, right? Here's another 4. He likes 4s, doesn't he? 4 things on earth are small, but they are exceedingly wise. The ants are a people not strong, yet they provide their food in the summer. Ants are always working. The rock badgers are a people not mighty, yet they make their homes in the cliffs. It's a small animal. The locusts have no king, yet all of them march in rank. Okay? The locusts have no king. You notice they all work together. They all fly together in formation. They have no leaders. No matter what the cartoons say, okay? They don't have leaders. The lizard, and now some say spiders, okay? Spider, lizard, a small crawling creature, right? You can take in your hands, yet it is in kings' palaces, right? They get into places, and you don't know how they do it. Here's another 3, no 4. 3 things are stately in their tread. 4 are stately in their stride. Right? Proud. Right? The lion, which is the mightiest among beasts, and does not turn back before any. The strutting rooster. They're pretty proud, right? The he-goat. Stately in their stride. And a king whose army is with him. Magpie, greyhound. Right. Against whom there is no rising up. Right. The king's always proud and stately in his stride when he has all those people behind him, right? When they stop being behind him, then he is fearful. Okay. Okay, 32 and 33. If you have been foolish, exalting yourself, or if you have been devising evil, put your hand on your mouth. Right? This can be summed up saying, if you're acting stupid or prideful, right, or planning evil things, shut up. Right? For pressing milk produces curds, right? Pressing the nose produces blood, and pressing anger produces strife. Right? Pressing milk produces curds, butter. Right? Pressing the nose produces blood. Right? Somebody punches you. Pressing anger produces strife. Right? And being foolish, exalting yourself, devising evil, also produces strife and blood. Right? So keep your mouth shut. Don't be showing off, or somebody's going to punch you. It's just that simple. So there you go. That's Proverbs 30. We can touch on the highlights here real quick. Mostly just to separate them is why they're highlighted. But okay, 2 and 3 is highlighted. Surely I am too stupid to be a man. I have not the understanding of a man. I have not learned wisdom, nor have I the knowledge of the Holy One. Okay, there's notes over here. This mouse. Herein he declareth his great humility, who would not attribute any wisdom to himself, but all unto God. Okay? The secret of all of these proverbs of being wise is to realize that you are not wise. Okay? You can't know everything God knows. You can't know a tiny, infinitesimal part of what God knows. Okay? And you realize how unwise you are. It calls it stupid, foolish here. If you realize every single person on earth knows something that you don't know, okay? Everybody. So, You will never be truly wise. You can seek wisdom, okay, and never stop learning. Okay? And we study everything we know about God in His Word. Okay? You can never know God wholly. One day we will. Okay? And he asks questions of God. Who has ascended to heaven and come down? Who has gathered the wind in his fists? Who has wrapped up the waters in a garment? Who has established all the ends of the earth? What is his name? And what is his son's name? Surely you know. What is his son's name? Okay. You ever just look at things and wonder how they work? Okay. What keeps the oceans in the oceans? Okay. Who controls the wind? Right? And the ends of the earth. Now there's a lot of talk about whether the earth was round or flat. I don't know. Okay. There seems to be arguments on both sides. Okay. Do I lean one way or the other? Can't tell. I mean, the Bible does talk about a firmament, right? And earth being anchored in place, and I don't dispute the Bible. I believe everything it says. So, right. And what is God's name, and what is his son's name? Okay. When Moses asked God what his name was, he surely said, I am that I am. Okay. And if you word the word I am, the word is God. Is everything. Okay? God is everything. And we'll highlight 5. Every word of God proves true. He is a shield to those who take refuge in him. Okay? All these words will prove true. Every word of the Bible proves true. Do not add to his words, lest he rebuke you and you be found a liar. Okay? There are a lot of people that add things to the Bible. Okay, they found an entire new doctrines by adding things to the Bible. And they're always the false prophets. God told me to add this to the Bible. No, he did not. Okay. 2 things I ask. This is Agar's prayer. Okay. 2 things I ask of you to add unto me before I die. Remove from me falsehood and lying. Okay? God hates liars and falsehood. Give me neither poverty nor riches. Feed me with the food that is needful for me. Okay? You don't want to be rich. That comes with a lot of problems. You don't want to be poor. That comes with a lot of problems too. Right? Just enough. You want just enough. Right? Lest I be full and deny you and say, who is the Lord? Or lest I be poor and steal and profane the name of my God. Right? Very, very rich people. A lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them. I don't need God. I'm rich. Okay? And they're miserable too. Okay? They buy things because they're trying to fill a hole in here that's there. And, you can fill it temporarily, but it goes away quickly because that's not what's meant to fill that hole, right? Okay. The generations. Okay, and these are a generation. They come and go, and there's always a generation around like this, right? There is a generation, or those who curse their fathers and don't bless their mothers. There are those who are clean in their own eyes, but are not washed of their filth. Anybody say they think they're pure and clean, but everybody knows they're not. And they usually have lots of cameras on them too. So. There are those, how lofty are their eyes, how high their eyelids lift, right? Looking down on other people. Right? Okay, just looking down your nose at people. Nobody likes people like that. God doesn't like people like that. Jesus was always screaming at the Pharisees and the Sadducees and the scribes because they had their fancy robes and their fancy houses, and they looked down on people, and I am so much smarter than you. You could never be as good as me. And right? Jesus didn't like those people. God doesn't like those people. Right? How lofty are their eyes, how high their eyelids lift. There are those whose teeth are swords and whose fangs are knives to devour the poor from the earth and the needy from among mankind. The needy are there so we can show the kindness of God. Okay? That's why they're there. For God's glory. He put them there. Okay? There are people who talk, who say horrible things. Teeth are swords and knives, and fangs are knives to cut away and talk down. You shouldn't talk down to anybody, okay? No matter their situation, you should not talk down to anybody. Nobody is beneath you, okay? Jesus proved that by the people he saved and hung out with. Nobody should be beneath you. There are people who think, and it ties up with this, how lofty are their eyes and how high their eyelids lift, looking down on everybody. Okay? I talked about the leech as a forked tongue. 2 daughters, he says. Give and give. 3 things never satisfied, 4 never say enough. Right? And there's 4 of these groups of 4s. Never say enough. Show the barren womb, a land never satisfied with water, a fire that never says enough. Right? The land is never satisfied. You have to keep watering it constantly. Right? And you have to feed a fire constantly or it will go out. Fire is always hungry. Yeah. These 4 things we didn't highlight, but things are too wonderful for him to understand. The way of an eagle, how an eagle flies, how a snake moves on a rock, the way of a ship on the high seas, and the way of a man with a young maiden or virgin, right? A group of guys, watch them when a pretty girl walks in, watch them all turn into fools. It's quite wonderful to watch, right? A lot more highlighted in here. But, you could highlight everything, but under 4 things earth cannot bear up: a slave when it becomes a king, a fool when he's filled with food, an unloved woman when she gets a husband. I wonder if there's a note on that one. A hateful woman when she's married. Hateful woman or unloved woman. I guess for our wives like that, huh? They're just mean, okay? And a maidservant when she displaces her mistress. This has happened too. We won't give any examples. You can find your own examples of that. 4 things on earth are small, but are exceedingly wise. The ants, right? Always working. Rock badgers. Little furry things that find their home in cliffs. Amazing, right? The locusts. You think of locusts, they have no king, they have no ruler, they have no leader, and they all march in rank and fly together. Yeah? Amazing. And the lizard or the spider, they're everywhere, okay? My house is sealed, and I find spiders in my house, okay? And lizards, too. I find lizards in my house. They're in king's palaces, they're everywhere. Even though all the doors and windows are shut, they will find a way in. Okay, here's another 3 no for stately in their stride, things that are proud, right? The lion does not turn back for any. A strutting rooster. Have you ever seen a strutting rooster? They're very proud, right? A he-goat. They're not afraid of anything. And a king when he has his army behind him, right? And good advice in 32 and 33. If you have been foolish, exalting yourself, right? Being prideful, arrogant, conceited, scoffing, put your hand on your mouth. 4, pressing milk produces courage, pressing the nose produces blood, and pressing anger produces strife, right? If you keep doing this stuff, somebody is going to put you down, okay? Sooner or later, somebody will put you down, okay? So you go, that's Proverbs 30. Like I said, that's probably my favorite chapter in Proverbs, right? And tomorrow, Proverbs 31, the last day of the month, right? And this is Solomon, okay? Again, the words of King Lemuel. Now, Lemuel is a pet name that Bathsheba called her son Solomon. So, an oracle words that his mother taught him, okay? And then a famous poem. This poem about good wife was written hundreds of years before this. It was a very old acrostic poem, which means ABCs. Okay, goes in order of the ABCs, the Hebrew alphabet. It was around before. Okay, and it was taught to children, probably young girls. Okay, about what a perfect wife was. But we'll read that tomorrow. And I think we are on Matthew and are through the New Testament in a year. I think we're on 18 or 19. 20. Okay, around chapter 20. Half of chapter 20. Okay, just they're cutting these small, gives you the time to really get into and study the New Testament, And because there's only 270 chapters, so there's a lot of time to, cut chapters in half to stretch it out over the whole year. So stay tuned for that. Give us a like if you think about it, but later we'll keep going. See ya.